Crash on Xylon 5 space was silent, cold, and full of secrets. Far away from any known star system, a silver royal spaceship flew fast. Inside, a young alien princess named Ilara sat in fear. Her kingdom had been attacked, her people killed, and now she was running for her life. Her attackers were merciless. They were called the Void Clan, led by a warlord named Galactic. They wanted something hidden deep in Ilara's blood, a code, a key to an ancient weapon lost in the stars. Her ship shook as more missiles hit. Alarm screamed. Ilara's guards were gone. Only one thing left to do: escape. She ran to the last pod and locked herself inside. Her ship exploded behind her as the pod shot away into the darkness. Fire, smoke, and debris followed her like ghosts. The pod crashed hard on a planet called Xylon 5. A dead, rocky world. No trees, no oceans. Just sand, dust, and broken metal from past wars. The pod sank into the dirt. Silent again. Far away, in the ruins of an old war base on Xylon 5, a man named Jace Carter was hunting for scrap. He was tall, strong, and quiet. A human warrior, once a soldier, now a lone mercenary. He didn't work for anyone anymore. Not after what the war did to him. He scanned the horizon. Suddenly, a light streaked across the sky and crashed with a loud boom. Jace grabbed his gear and ran toward the smoke. Maybe it was a cargo ship. Maybe it had supplies. Maybe something worse. He reached the crash site. Smoke filled the air. A small pod, half buried in the ground, blinked with fading blue lights. Strange alien symbols glowed on its side. He pulled his plasma knife and approached carefully. Then he heard it. A soft sound. Someone was inside. With a hiss, the door opened. Jace stepped back, ready to fight. Inside was a girl. Young, weak, and clearly not human. Her skin was light blue, her hair silver, and her eyes glowing with fear. She looked up at Jace and whispered, "Please, help me." Jace was used to trouble, but this was different. He scanned the sky. 3 enemy drones were closing in. If they saw him with the girl, he would be marked a traitor. But Jace had seen enough people die. He couldn't leave her. He picked her up and ran. He took her to his hideout, an old bunker under the desert floor. It was small but hidden. He placed her on the bed and checked her wounds. Nothing fatal, but she was weak from the crash. She opened her eyes. "Where am I?" "Xylon 5, Jace said. "You're lucky I found you." "They'll come. They always come," she said. "Who are they?" She looked into his eyes. "Galdrax's men. They want the key." "What key?" She touched her chest. "Inside me. A code. A weapon. Something ancient. They killed my family for it." Jace didn't believe in fairy tales, but the fear in her voice was real. "Why would they chase you across galaxies?" he asked. "Because this weapon can destroy worlds." Suddenly, a red light blinked on Jace's console. A signal had been triggered. Someone found her pod. He turned to her. "We need to move." "They found us?" she asked. "Not yet, but they will. And once they do, they won't stop." Outside, high above Xylon 5, a bounty signal was sent across space. Galdrax's men had found the princess's crash location. Her face appeared on screens. Her bounty was high, dead or alive. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and pirates across the galaxy saw it. One by one, they turned their ships toward Xylon 5. Back in the bunker, Jace checked his weapons. He had one old rifle, a broken drone, and barely enough power to keep the bunker hidden. He looked at Ilara. "If I help you, they'll come for me too." "Then don't help me," she said softly. "I'll go alone." Jace stared at her. She was brave. Foolish maybe, but brave. "No," he said. "I don't leave people behind." She gave a weak smile. "Then we fight together." "Yeah," Jace said. "But first we run." The bunker lights dimmed. Engines powered up. Jace's old transport roared to life. Above them the hunters were coming, and below, a human and an alien princess were about to change the fate of the galaxy. The chase begins. The sky above Xylon 5 turned dark as clouds of smoke from the crash still floated in the air. Far in the distance, metallic shapes cut through the clouds. Enemy ships were already scanning the surface. Time was running out. Deep underground in Jace's old bunker, the silence was broken by the hum of a backup generator. Alara sat on the floor, wrapped in a worn blanket. She stared at the flickering lights, lost in thought. Jace stood near the door, loading his rifle. His hands moved fast, but his mind was racing. "You said they want something inside you," he said, still, not turning around. "What exactly is it?" Alara looked up, her voice calm but heavy. "A living code. My ancestors locked it inside my DNA. Only royal blood can access it. And this code, what does it unlock?" She hesitated. "A weapon. Not just a gun. Or a bomb. Something ancient, powerful. It was made before the stars had names. They say it can destroy entire solar systems." Jace finally turned to face her. "Why would anyone build something like that? To stop the end of everything," she whispered. "But now, Galdrak wants to use it to start the end." Suddenly the bunker's alarm screamed. A silent red light flashed across the room. "They've found the pod," Jace said. "We have 10 minutes, maybe less." He pulled a hidden switch. A wall slid open, revealing a small hoverbike. Old, rusty but fast, Alara stood up, still weak. "I can help, just tell me what to do." "Don't get killed," Jace replied. They jumped on the hoverbike, and the secret exit burst open. A moment later, they were speeding across the desert surface of Xylon 5. Above them, 3 hunter drones locked onto their heat signature. They moved like shadows. Fast, quiet, deadly. One of the drones dropped lower and fired. A blue beam of light exploded near the hoverbike, throwing sand and fire into the air. Jace swerved hard. "Hold on," he shouted. Alara closed her eyes and focused. A pulse of energy moved through her veins. Something ancient woke up inside her. A second drone came closer. Just before it could fire, a flash of blue light shot from Alara's hands, striking the drone. It spun out of control and exploded in the sky. Jace glanced at her. "What the hell was that?" "I don't know," she said, her hands shaking. "It's starting." The remaining drone pulled back, not to retreat, but to report. Far above, in a command ship hidden behind a moon, Warlord Galdrak stood watching. His skin was black steel, his eyes red fire. A living machine. He watched the screen as the drone's feed replayed Alara's energy. "Blast?" He smiled. "She's waking up," he said to his lieutenant. "Good. She'll lead us to the weapon herself." "What about the human?" the lieutenant asked. Galdrak's voice was cold. "Kill him." Back on the surface, Jace and Alara reached a canyon. Sharp rocks rose like teeth around them. The hoverbike's engine started to fail. "We'll have to move on foot," Jace said. They entered the canyon. It was quiet. Too quiet. Jace scanned the area with his visor. "We're being watched." He was right. From the shadows, a group of mercenaries stepped forward. Ex-soldiers, heavily armed. Their leader wore red armor and a cracked helmet. She took off her helmet. Jace froze. "Mira," he whispered. She smiled. "Hello, Jace. Didn't think I'd see you again." "You're working for Galdrak now?" he asked. "He pays more than ghosts of the past," she replied. "Hand over the girl." Jace aimed his rifle. "Not happening." Mira nodded. Her men raised their guns. Before the first shot could be fired, Alara stepped forward. Her voice echoed with strange power. "Stop." Everyone froze. Her eyes glowed. The air around her shimmered. "If you fire," she said, "you'll all die." Mira hesitated. Something about the girl felt wrong, powerful, ancient. Then Jace fired. Chaos exploded. Dust, Fire and lasers filled the canyon. Jace grabbed Alara and ran through a narrow gap between rocks. They barely escaped as the canyon behind them collapsed. Hours later, they stopped to rest in a cave. Alara looked at Jace. "Your friend. She would have killed us. She was my commander once," he said. "I trusted her. Do you trust me?" she asked. Jace didn't answer right away. "I trust that you're not lying," he said finally. "And that might be enough. For now." Deep underground, unknown to them, the ancient weapon stirred. It was buried in a forgotten vault, protected by time and blood. It had sensed her. Soon it would awaken. And when it did, nothing would ever be the same. The hidden weapon night fell on Xylon 5, but there was no peace. The stars above blinked softly, unaware of the storm that was coming. Beneath the broken rocks and black skies, Jace and Alara continued their journey, moving on foot now, deeper, into the shadows of the planet. They weren't just running anymore, they were searching. Alara could feel something calling her, like a voice inside her blood, like something ancient had woken and wanted her to find it. "There's something buried here," she said quietly, her hand touching the canyon wall. Jace looked at her. "You're sure?" She nodded. "The weapon, it's close." Miles away, a hidden base was buried beneath the planet's crust. It was once built by the ancients long before humans knew space travel. The facility had been sleeping for thousands of years. Now, because of Alara's presence, it had started to wake. Giant stone doors moved slowly as glowing runes lit up across their surface. Deep inside, a machine made of crystal and metal stirred. It was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It had no trigger. It had no barrel. It was something else. A living intelligence. Something older than war, older than fear. And it had one rule. Only the worthy may unlock me. Alara and Jace finally reached the entrance, a crack in the mountain where energy pulsed like a heartbeat. "You feel that?" Jace asked. "Yes," she whispered. "It knows I'm here." They entered. The path led them through a long tunnel, made of smooth stone and alien technology. Strange symbols glowed along the walls. Alara touched one, and the whole tunnel came alive with soft humming. "This is not just a vault," she said. "It's a test." "Test for what?" Jace asked. "For who is strong enough to carry what's inside." As they moved deeper, holograms appeared in the air. Visions of war, stars burning, planets dying. They were not just recordings. They were memories. Memories of a time when gods walked among stars, and one of them created a weapon to stop the darkness. A machine with a soul. A key that required sacrifice to be used. Jay stared at the images. "What kind of power are we talking about here?" Alara turned to him. "Enough to destroy a galaxy. Or save it." Suddenly the ground shook. The air grew cold. Jace raised his rifle. "We're not alone." The walls opened behind them. Mechanical guardians stepped out, tall machines with glowing eyes and long blades. They weren't there to protect the weapon. They were there to stop anyone who was unworthy. "Stay behind me," Jace said. "No," Alara replied. "This is my test too." She stepped forward. The machines raised their weapons. But before they could attack, a wave of blue energy burst from her, pushing them back. The machines paused. Then they knelt. Jace looked at her with disbelief. "They're bowing." "They recognize the bloodline," Alara said, barely breathing. "But the real test is still ahead." They entered the core chamber. In the center of a vast circular room floated a sphere of light, cracked with dark energy. Around it were ancient pillars covered in symbols. The moment Alara stepped closer, the sphere responded. A voice filled the chamber, deep, layered, and not quite human. "One carries the blood. One carries the choice." "Who are you?" Alara asked. "I am the Forge, the weapon you seek, the shield you fear. Your kind locked me here long ago. But now the galaxy burns again. We need your help, she said. Then one of you must bond with me. Jace stepped forward. What does that mean? Bonding means sacrifice, the Forge replied. You will be changed, body and soul. You will carry power and pain forever. Alara turned to Jace. You don't have to do this. He looked at her. You're royalty. Your people need you. I'm just a man with a gun and nothing left to lose. She grabbed his hand. You saved me. You don't have to save the galaxy too. Someone has to, he said. Jace stepped into the light. Energy wrapped around him like chains. His memories, his fears, his regrets, all played out around him. He screamed. The chamber shook. Alara tried to run to him, but the Forge stopped her. He must pass alone. Jace fell to his knees, visions flooding his mind. He saw Earth in flames, cities falling, ships crashing. He saw Alara dying. He saw himself alone. Until something changed. He stood. The energy calmed. His eyes opened, glowing with power. The Forge spoke again. You are chosen. The weapon is yours. Jace turned to Alara. We're not running anymore. Far above, Galdrak received the signal. The Forge had awakened. Someone had bonded. His eyes narrowed. He did it. Galdrak said, The human took my prize. He turned to his fleet. Prepare the invasion. The betrayal, the Forge's chamber was silent again. The glow faded. The ancient machine, now bonded with Jace, had gone back into sleep, waiting for its next command. Jace stood in the center of the room, his armor cracked, his hands shaking. Energy still pulsed through his body. He didn't feel human anymore. Something inside him had changed. He had touched power not meant for mortals, and survived. Alara rushed to his side. Jace? Are you? He raised a hand. I'm fine, but something's coming. He could feel it, not just through his eyes or ears, but through the Forge itself. Galdrak was on his way. Outside the vault, the desert wind howled. Hidden above the clouds, Galdrak's fleet arrived in silent formation. Hundreds of warships blocked the sky, cloaked from radar. On board, Galdrak stood before his army. His metal fist slammed onto a control panel. They've awakened the Forge. The weapon is bonded. His voice echoed through the chamber. We no longer need the girl. Kill the human. Bring me the Forge core. But Galdrak was not the only one watching. In orbit around a nearby moon, the royal cruiser Starlance emerged. From Cloak. This was the flagship of the High Command of Valexia, Alara's people. Those who had once ruled an empire. A voice came over Jace's communicator. Clear, formal, and urgent. Princess Alara of Valexia, this is Captain Ryan of the Starlance. We have tracked your signal. Prepare for extraction. Alara's eyes widened. They found us. Jace looked suspicious. Friends of yours? They were loyal to my family, she said. But I don't know who's still loyal now. A few hours later, a dropship landed near the vault. Valexian soldiers in golden armor stepped out. They saluted the princess. Captain Ryan, tall and calm, spoke first. Your Highness, we feared you were lost. I nearly was, she said. But this man saved me. And the Forge has chosen him. The soldiers glanced at Jace, unsure. Ryan nodded slowly. Then he is under royal protection. But something felt wrong on board the Starlance. Alara was taken to the medical wing. She was scanned, healed, and dressed in royal uniform again. Jace was given a chamber to rest. But he couldn't sleep. His skin itched with energy. His mind replayed the bonding. Something kept whispering in his head. Trust no one. He left his room. Quietly, he moved through the halls. Valexian tech was advanced, but he had seen enough warships to know where secrets lived, deep in the lower decks. He hacked a door and slipped inside. What he saw made his blood run cold. A private room. A hologram. Captain Rian speaking. Galdrak Rian's voice was calm. We are bringing them to you. The human will be sedated. The Forge will be yours. Galdrak smiled. Good. The Empire dies tonight. Jace backed away quietly, rage boiling in his chest. He ran to Alara's chamber. She was sitting near the window, looking at the stars. We need to leave. Now, Jace said. She stood up, confused. What are you talking about? Your captain's working with Galactic. They're planning to hand us over. Her face went pale. No, Ryan was loyal to my father. Not anymore. Before they could act, the alarms went off. Ryan's voice echoed through the ship. Attention, the fugitives have escaped their chambers. Lockdown is in effect. Alara stared at Jace. They're calling us fugitives. We've been betrayed. They ran through the ship, dodging guards, using old maintenance shafts to move fast. Jace used his new abilities, enhanced reflexes, sharper senses. The Forge had changed him. He wasn't just a soldier now. He was something more. Finally, they reached the ship's control room. Alara used her royal clearance to override the system. Lights flickered, doors opened. They escaped in a stolen interceptor, just as Valexian guards broke into the command deck. The small ship blasted into hyperspace, vanishing like a spark in the stars. On the bridge of the Starlents, Rian watched them go. They're faster than we thought, he said, but they won't get far. Somewhere in deep space, Jace and Alara floated in silence. We trusted them, she said quietly. My own people. They were ready to sell us to a monster. Power does that, Jace said. Makes people forget who they are. Alara looked at him. And what about you? Who are you now? Jace stared out the window. I don't know, he said. But I know what I'm not. I'm not running anymore. As the stars shifted around them, a signal came through. It was weak, hidden, and very old. Alara opened it. A broken voice spoke through the static. This is Outpost 9. We know about the Forge, and we're still fighting. Alara and Jace exchanged a look. A hidden resistance. A new ally. And maybe a way to win. The awakening of the weapon, the stolen interceptor, floated through the cold darkness of deep space. Its systems were damaged, the fuel cells low, and the navigation was unstable. Yet inside, something far more dangerous was coming to life. Jace sat in silence, his hands gripping the edge of the control panel. His fingers glowed faintly. Blue veins of energy pulsed beneath his skin. The Forge was inside him now, breathing, watching, waiting. Beside him, Alara listened carefully to the old signal repeating through the speakers. This is Outpost 9, survivors of the Galactic War. If you hear this, you're not alone. The Forge must be protected. We are still fighting. Jace looked at her. Coordinates? They're hidden in the signal pattern, she said. I think I can unlock them. Then do it fast, he said, before the Forge wakes again. Alara decrypted the signal. The ship's system reloaded the star map, plotting a course to a dead system known only in myths. Cyrus Vale, a place erased from most galactic records. You really think they're still out there? Jace asked. If they are, she said, they might be the only ones who can help you control what's inside you. They reached the Vale in 3 hours. The entire system was covered in thick clouds of cosmic dust and magnetic storms. Jace could barely see through it, but a blinking beacon guided them in. A hidden moon revealed itself, covered in metal domes and anti-ship weapons aimed at the stars. Outpost 9, Alara whispered. They landed quietly. A group of armored rebels surrounded the ship. Their leader, a scarred woman with one robotic eye, stepped forward. Names? Alara of Valexia, she said. And this is Jace Carter. The woman stared at Jace's glowing hands, her voice lowered. You bonded with it. Yes, he said. She nodded once. Then you're either the galaxy's last hope, or its final curse. Inside the outpost, they were given food and medical care. The rebels were a mix of species, humans, Valexians, outcasts, even ex-enemy soldiers. All of them had lost something to Galactic. They didn't bow to Jace. They didn't praise him. They just looked at him with fear. and a bit of hope. In the forge chamber, scientists ran tests on Jace's energy levels, but no machine could explain what was happening to him. The forge was growing. Voices whispered to him at night. Memories that were not his. A galaxy lost in fire. A weapon made from the dying core of a collapsing star. And one word that returned again and again: balance. Ilara sat with him later, alone in the quiet room. "You're changing," she said softly. "I know. Does it hurt?" "Only when I try to fight it." She placed her hand on his. "Then maybe, don't fight it. Maybe learn from it." Jace closed his eyes. Inside his mind, the forge opened like a door. He was no longer in the room. He stood in an ancient battlefield, stars falling from the sky, cities turned to ash. In front of him, a figure in black armor stood holding a version of the forge, older, corrupted. "You see now," the figure said. "This power was never made for peace." "Who are you?" Jace asked. "I was the first, the original wielder. The last time this weapon was used, I destroyed an empire. I thought I was saving everyone." Jace clenched his fists. "And you failed?" "I won. But the cost was everything. So why did the forge choose me?" The figure smiled. "Because it's not just a weapon. It's a mirror. It becomes what you are. Mercy or death, hope or rage, the choice is yours." Jace opened his eyes, gasping for air. Ilara steadied him. "What did you see?" A warning. Just then, alarms rang through the base. A massive spike in energy. Galdrak's ships had found them. But something was different. This wasn't a normal fleet. It was the Void Core. Galdrak's elite invasion unit, powered by Black Star energy, and capable of wiping out entire planets. "They're here for you," the rebel leader said, "and they won't stop." Jace stood slowly. "Then let's give them something to fear." As the Void Core approached the moon, the sky lit up with cannon fire. Rebel fighters launched. Chaos began. But Jace walked alone to the surface. He raised his hand. A beam of blue light shot from the ground, reaching the sky. Ships exploded in the air. Time slowed. And the forge awakened fully. His body lifted from the ground, wrapped in light and ancient symbols. The rebels watched in awe as their weapons recharged from his energy. Ships changed direction. Explosions froze mid-air. For one moment, Jace became something, no longer fully human. Galdrak, watching from orbit, clenched his fists. "The forge has chosen war," he said. "So be it." But far below, in the heart of the forge, something darker stirred. Not Jace. Not Galdrak. Something older. Something that had been sleeping, and now it was waking up too. War of Two Worlds. The stars above Cyrus Vale burned red as Galdrak's fleet surrounded the hidden moon. The black-armored ships of the Void Core moved in perfect silence, like shadows in space. Beneath them, Outpost 9. Prepared for war. The last safe place in the galaxy was about to become the front line. Deep in the forge chamber, Jace stood alone, his body glowing faintly, like embers after a fire. His breath was steady, but inside the storm was rising. The forge had awakened, but not completely. Something within it, something ancient, was still asleep. Something even the creators had feared. Ilara stood nearby, watching him from the shadows. She had known Jace as a man, a soldier, a protector. Now he was something else, more than human, more than weapon. But was he still himself? "You don't have to do this alone," she said softly. Jace turned to her, his voice low. "It chose me. Not because I'm the strongest, but because I've already lost everything. There's nothing left for it to take. You still have me," she said. That silence between them, fragile, honest, was shattered by the sound of sirens. Enemy dropships had entered the atmosphere. On the surface, rebels lined the bunkers, preparing for the impossible. Some prayed. Others loaded their rifles. All knew this might be the end. Above, Galdrak's voice echoed through the comms. "You've run long enough. Give me the forge. and I will end it quickly. Jace stood on the battlefield, armor forming around him like liquid metal, forged from energy itself. He looked up, his voice carried by the forge. You want the weapon? Come and take it. The first wave hit like a meteor storm. Hundreds of drones, soldiers, and war machines dropped from the sky. Rebel defenses lit up. Plasma and fire painted the battlefield. Outpost 9 trembled under the weight of the invasion. Jace charged forward. With every step, the forge responded. He raised his hand. Walls of energy rose from the ground, shielding the rebels. He swung his arm. Wave pulses shattered enemy drones mid-air, but the more he used the forge, the louder the whispers became. Voices from ancient wars, past wielders, forgotten gods, each one screaming the same thing. Do not lose yourself. Inside the command center, Ilara received another shock. Valexian warships had arrived, her own people, but they weren't here to help. They were splitting their fleet, some aiding the rebels, others joining Galactic. The Empire was broken, a civil war within a war. They've made their choice, Ilara said. Now I must make mine. She accessed the override codes for the old royal command system, something only a true bloodline heir could do. With one command, she took control of half the fleet. She broadcasted one message. This is Princess Ilara of Valexia. The old empire is dead, but today I fight for the future. Follow me, or fall with the tyrants. A third of the fleet changed course and began firing on Galdrack's forces. On the ground, Jace faced Galdrack at last. The warlord landed like a thunderbolt, his armor fused with dark matter, powered by corrupted forge energy stolen from ancient ruins. Galdrack smiled beneath his helmet. Look at you, half a god and still afraid. I'm not afraid, Jace said. I just know what happens when power goes unchecked. Then learn, Galdrack snarled and attacked. They clashed. The sky split with energy. Blades of light met black flame. Each blow from Galdrack shook the earth. Each counter from Jace reshaped the battlefield. This was not a fight between two soldiers. It was a war between philosophies. Domination versus sacrifice. Control versus balance. Galdrack laughed. Do you know what the forge really is? It's not a weapon. It's a doorway. To what? Jace asked. To the old ones, the creators, and the destroyers. The forge doesn't just give power, it summons it. Suddenly the ground cracked. A massive pulse rippled across the moon, and below them, something stirred. The final lock of the forge, deep underground, had broken. Not because of Jace, but because Galdrack had used Jace's awakening as a key. The forge began to shift shape, its energy forming a massive gate in the sky, twisting light and matter into a storm of creation and destruction. You fool, Jace growled. You didn't come to take the forge. You came to open it. Yes, Galdrack said, smiling. And now the real war begins. In orbit, ships were pulled into the vortex. Soldiers screamed as time fractured. Old memories leaked into space. Visions of lost civilizations, of galaxies erased, of beings too powerful to understand. Ilara watched in horror. Jace, she called through comms. You have to close it, before it's too late. I don't know how, he said. Yes, you do, she whispered. You just have to remember who you are, not the forge. You. Jace closed his eyes. He stopped fighting, and he listened. Not to the voices, but to the silence beneath them. His mother's voice, his father's laughter, the people he lost. He remembered not why he fought, but who he fought for. He stepped forward and embraced the core of the forge, energy wrapped around him. Painful, blinding, but this time, he controlled it. He reached into the storm and he closed the gate. The sky collapsed inward. The vortex vanished. Galdrack screamed as his dark armor cracked. Jace struck him once, and the warlord fell, broken. The battlefield went silent. Ships floated. Weapons powered down. The war was over for now, but the forge still pulsed. Deep inside Jace, something had changed. Not just power, responsibility, and far across the stars, something had noticed. Something that had waited a very long time. What she did next shook the galaxy. The battlefield was quiet. Black, smoke curled through the air like fading memories. The wreckage of ships and machines floated gently across the cracked surface of the moon. Somewhere in the silence, the forge pulsed softly, dimmed, but alive. Galactic was gone. His body had vanished. In the final burst of the vortex, whether dead or simply lost to another plane, no one could say. But the war was over. And yet Jace didn't feel peace. He stood alone near the impact crater, the forge still humming within his chest. Its power had calmed, but not fully. He was more than a man now, and he knew it. That knowledge was heavy. The kind of weight that could crush a soul if carried too long. Alara approached quietly, her royal armor now torn and scorched from battle. She didn't speak at first. Neither did he. Finally, she asked, "Is it done?" Jace didn't answer right away. "The gate is closed, but the forge is not." Alara nodded slowly. "I felt it too." They both looked up at the stars. A new threat was rising beyond them. Not Galactic. Something older. Back inside Outpost 9, the survivors gathered. Valexian loyalists, human rebels, former outcasts, now united by something greater than blood or empire. They looked at Alara, not just as a princess, but as a leader, a symbol, and that terrified her. "They expect me to rebuild everything," she told Jace in private. "Can you?" he asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "I was trained to rule, not to lead the broken." "Maybe that's exactly why you can," he said. "Because you're no longer the perfect royal. You're real." But then the transmission came, a deep, vibrating signal, ancient and encrypted, not from Galactic, not from any known system. The forge responded instantly, glowing bright in Jace's chest. The signal spoke in a forgotten language, but the meaning was clear. "A new wielder has been chosen. The gate will open again. Balance must be restored. The cycle demands sacrifice." Alara's blood ran cold. "What cycle?" she asked. Jace's face hardened. "The forge is not just a weapon. It's a balance keeper. It chooses champions to maintain order in the galaxy. Every age, every war, someone must carry it." "And when there's peace?" she asked. "There is never peace for long." But the real shock came moments later, when the forge scanned her, Alara's DNA. Her bloodline, the ancient key buried in her people. And a second voice awakened, one buried deep within her. The forge wasn't meant for one wielder, it was meant for two. Alara collapsed to her knees. Visions filled her mind, galaxies falling into chaos, civil, wars spreading like fire, planets begging for justice, and above them all, two figures. One made of flame and steel, the other made of light and will, war and mercy, destruction and healing. Jace and Alara. When she woke, she had made her choice. The forge needed balance. Jace's power was raw, sharp, necessary. But she would be its counter, its conscience. She stood before the rebel council, voice steady. "Galactic was only the beginning. Something worse is coming. The forge has chosen us both, not to rule but to guide." One rebel general asked, "So what now? You want to form a new empire?" Alara shook her head. "No more empires. No more crowns. We build something new, not ruled by bloodlines or weapons, but by unity." And then she did something that shook the galaxy. Alara took off her royal crest and placed it on the floor. "The age of Valexia is over," she declared. "I will no longer be Princess Alara of the Empire." "Then who are you now?" someone asked. She smiled. "I am Alara, guardian of the forge." News of her renouncement spread faster than light. Systems once divided by fear now looked to her for guidance. Old enemies sent peace envoys. Lost colonies asked for protection. And from the shadows, ancient beings, The ones who once created the forge watched in silence. They had not expected her to rise, and they had never expected a human and an alien to wield their greatest creation together. Jace and Alara stood at the edge of their starship, now rebuilt and rearmed, heading toward unknown space. He looked at her. "You sure about this?" "No," she said. "But if we wait for certainty, we'll never change anything." He nodded. "We may not survive what's coming." "Then let's make sure the galaxy remembers that we tried." As they jumped into hyperspace, a second forge signature appeared, far, far across the galaxy. Someone else had activated one, and this time, it didn't choose mercy.